Introduction. Overview of commissioning phases. What is commissioning? Commissioning can best be described as the activities that take place in the handovers from construction to commissioning and from commissioning to operations, as shown in the photograph with the baton being passed. Of course, in reality, the baton isn't passed just once in the project lifecycle, but many times. Commissioning is also defined as the process of planning, documenting, scheduling, testing, adjusting, verifying and training to provide a facility that operates a fully functional system per the owner's project requirements. The goal of the commissioning process is to enhance the quality of the delivered project by focusing the design and construction team on the owner's goals for a functional and energy efficient facility. The earlier a commissioning provider is involved in the process, the greater the chance there is for the commissioning provider to influence corrections without increased costs later. That quotation was provided by Complete Commissioning Project Management Company from Maryland in the United States. Also, we have commissioning comprises activities undertaken after commissioning to verify dynamically that the functioning systems and subsystems are in accordance with project requirements and to verify as accurately as possible that the system or subsystem is ready for startup. And that definition was provided by API RP1FSC. What is systems completion? API RP1FSC defines the systems completion process as the sequential activities within a project that verify and prove the construction, installation, integration, testing and preparation of systems have been completed as designed, and thus the facility is ready for startup and operations. The systems completion process is designed to help prepare and manage the transfer of care, custody and control of facilities under construction through appropriate certification and documentation such that the details of progress are evident, as defined again in API RP1FSC. Similarities and changes over time. Commissioning and startup of facilities has become considerably more complex in the past 30 years. The number of commissionable systems has probably been similar since those projects of the 1970s and 80s. However, there have been dramatic increases in the number of commissionable tagged items, specifically in electrical, instrumentation and controls. Also, there is considerably more complex regulation. The duty of care placed with the need for compliance to regulatory requirements make commissioning and startup an extremely complex business. Commissioning and startup is no longer a subset of construction. The critical factors that were in place in the 1970s and 80s are still critical today. The need for preservation, the need for tightness, the need for cleanliness. Every commissioning manager for any project must recognize these factors and the severe consequences of not observing them. Completion of a project can be simplified in the completions pyramid. Any system can be represented in the pyramid and is shown in the diagram on the slide. At the base of the slide we have factory acceptance testing moving through mechanical completion, static commissioning, dynamic commissioning, startup and performance testing. This diagram is also shown in Figure 1 in API RP1FSC. The purpose of the simplified completions pyramid is to move away from the more complex flow diagrams we have, as shown on the following slide, to the simpler completions pyramid represented for any project. On any given project, the way in which we represent the completion of a single system is with the completions pyramid. This represents the sequential series of activities that take place to complete that system. At the base of the pyramid we have factory acceptance testing, then mechanical completion, and then pre-commissioning or static commissioning or function testing as it's sometimes called, followed by dynamic commissioning, and finally at the apex of the pyramid, startup and performance testing. On the left-hand side of the pyramid we see the sequential series of activities that need to be completed in order to make completion of any particular stage or level in the pyramid. These are the types of check sheets with the types of certification required to be completed. On the right-hand side, we can see the punch listing categories that are also required to be completed at any given stage in the system completion. This diagram is also represented in API RP1FSC Figure 1. The purpose of the completions pyramid and Figure 1 in API RP1FSC is to be able to move away from complex flow diagrams to more simple, more easily understood diagrams representing the completion of systems within a project. Even the most complex flow diagrams can be represented more simply in the completions pyramid. So we can move from a complex flow diagram in the previous slide to a simpler, more easily understood completions pyramid in this slide. Believe it or not, this is the same project with the same system and sequence of activities. Progressive systems completion methodology. The way in which the operators represent the completion of a particular project is through the stage gate process. An example is shown on this slide, in which we move from the mechanical completion phase of the project through progressively to the overall completion of the project with final handover to operations. We can see the top series of arrows going left to right. These are the process systems in the project. These undergo a sequential series of steps with certification in between to final acceptance. The lower series of arrows from left to right represent utility systems in the project. These undergo a less rigorous set of steps through to final acceptance. Each operator will have its form of a stage gate process. The problem with mechanical completion. Houston, we've had a problem. No, it isn't Tom Hanks playing Commander Jim Lovell in the movie Apollo 13, but it could be the senior management from any major oil and gas project over the past 25 years or so, and it concerns the term mechanical completion. The particular problem is that many operators and contractors use the name mechanical completion, but it actually represents construction completion, and very little is actually complete or indeed usable in a conventional definition of the word. Nevertheless, the term mechanical completion takes on such importance and contractual significance, describing the extent of project completion at that point in time, you could be duped into thinking a useful milestone has been reached. Also, be aware that in effect, mechanical completions are points in time, because mechanical completion of each subsystem and system is phased to match priorities in the project schedule. Therefore, in a strict sense, the project itself does not achieve mechanical completion until the final system has been accepted as mechanically complete. Glossary of terms. There is a considerable amount of jargon used in commissioning and startup, and to help cut through that jargon, we've prepared a document with the glossary of terms. Now, it prohibits me to go through that entire glossary of terms with you in this course, but the document is embedded for your reference